Hi, in this short video we're going to give some tips to employees who are working from home and also to leaders who have employees or teams that work for them that are now working from home. My name's Chris Docherty, I work for FQM and we'd appreciate it if you follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our YouTube channels. I personally have got a lot of experience working from home over the years, going back to my mid to late 20s, and also more recently I've also experience of being a leader, providing guidance and support to other members of my team who have been working from home. So first of all, working from home is not for everyone. It's important that you recognise that there can be difficulties in working from home. And there are a number of key items that I want to talk about that employees should try and focus on and not fall into some of the day-to-day traps of working from home that can happen. I'd also like to give a little bit of guidance to leaders, supervisors, managers, etc. on some of the things that they can be doing to make life a little bit easier in difficult times or even on an ongoing basis. Important thing about being a leader in these situations is communication. You want to give support and communication to your workers who are at home and provide them with motivation. Why are we talking about this? Well, often these people may be beside you, be in daily contact, face to face, and they may strive off of that communication and support you give on a face-to-face basis. But we've got to think about their well-being when they're working at home, possibly feeling a little bit isolated. So giving that motivation to them is a great tool, and using your communication and support techniques for that. You must also ensure that your colleagues working from home have got the right kit. Ensure you communicate with them. If it needs you to involve other technical people in the organisation, please do that. Of course, the expectation is that the individuals working from home may have to be patient in certain circumstances if many people have suddenly moved from an office environment to working from home. But it is important that you check that they have the capabilities, whether you've provided them with the kit to work from home or whether you're asking them to use their own. And when I'm talking about kit, remember I'm not only referring to the technical side of it, I'm also referring to their setup from an ergonomics point of view. It's also really important to try and set targets for communicating with individuals. Of course, it can be much more difficult not being in a face-to-face environment, particularly if it's you being one to many, but there's lots of technology out there and many of it is free, and therefore I would suggest that you use this technology to have regular, and I would even say daily, calls, video Skypes, Zoom meetings, Teams meetings, just to check in and see how everyone is doing. But it also is important to have those one-to-one sessions as well. I would maybe suggest something along the line of maybe once a week or more often if it's required. Why is it you want to do that? Well, ideally when people are working from home, they will work best if they have goals and targets to achieve, and also if they have the opportunity to speak and set them with you as a leader. You also want to give them the opportunity to chat to you, where appropriate, about any type of mental health situation they are in. So it could be that the individuals that are working from home may be isolated. They may not have family or friends around them. They may be working at home in a secluded area with not a lot of communication. Do make sure that these people are given the opportunity, where they wish to, not being pressured, to talk about how they feel about working from home, and maybe trying to give them an understanding that you're there to listen and support them. So moving on to employees. So if you're an employee working from home, it's really easy to fall into some very basic pitfalls. One of the key things is speak up if you need help. Do not sit back and wait. Communicate regularly with your boss, your manager, or whoever is the appropriate person in the workforce that you look up to give that support. You want to plan where you're going to work at home, and you also want to look at your schedule and your structure of the day. We would suggest that while working from home, you follow the same timings that you would have had when working in the office. So think about getting up in the morning, having your alarm set if it's required, as you always have done. Of course, you can have a little bit of a more relax if you have not got an additional commute that you normally did have to the office. But it's important to get up, get showered, get dressed as you would going into the office, and have that mental attitude that it's your working day. It's also important to think about the structure of your day in terms of breaks, lunch, timings. It's very easy to fall into the trap of spending time possibly in front of the TV for a couple of hours during the day and then saying that you'll catch up with things in the evenings. Now, of course, there are some circumstances that might have to happen if there are young children or other family members you have to care for. But where not, it's important to try and keep that structure as best you can. As well as that, let's think about where you're working. Are you sitting in front of the TV on the couch with a laptop on your lap? It's not going to work. It's not going to be very effective. Get yourself a structured location where your home allows it. Ideally, you want to have somewhere that's got daylight and somewhere that you can open a window and get some fresh air. It's also important to make sure you inform family members, others within the household, particularly young children that might not understand why mum and dad are at home, but they're not available to play, they're not available to talk to. So it's important to set those boundaries within the family environment. You know, it's tough for them as well. They're used to going to school or nursery or whatever it is they may be doing. It may be your partner is used to having more time at home where they focus on other things when others are not there, but suddenly you're there and the children, and therefore you need to set those boundaries and ensure that people understand. It's also important that you recognise those breaks. And when you have those breaks, 15, 20 minutes here and there, the determined lunch breaks as well, periods of time that you will eat, these times can be used to interact with other people within the household, other family members. And if these guys know that you're available at those times, it might provide more of a structure. Of course, things can happen. There can be mistakes. Children can walk in while you're in a call. Things can happen. That's fine. That's acceptable. We've got to understand that we are in an environment that's not familiar and we're putting others in an environment that's not familiar. Let's think about going on past the structure. Let's think about your working day. As before, speaking about leaders, we want to set ourselves goals and targets and structures for the day and the weeks that we're working from home. We want to ensure that we not only communicate regularly with our boss or our manager, but we also communicate regularly with colleagues that we would be in the office environment as well, whether that is specifically talking about work or taking some time out just to check how those guys are doing and maybe getting an opportunity to sound off a little bit about how you find things are going. Do not forget to speak up if you feel you're in a situation that's challenging, whether from a technological point of view or from an environmental point of view. So hopefully these were a little bit of tips. I am no expert in this area, but having worked from home from my mid-20s and also being a manager of many people that work from home, I think that it's very easy to fall into bad habits when working from home. It's very easy to switch on the TV and sit on the couch with the laptop. But my advice is try and keep that structure that you had for your working day and try and make sure the people around you understand that. Good luck if you're working from home, and please take the opportunity to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on LinkedIn, and please have a look at our website for lots and lots of free resources. Thank you. Take care.